Hi again. We want to talk about something that I think is so important and so simple, and that is cravings or being really impacted by something that occurs in our lives and getting all stressed and anxious about it. How do we find a place of peace and well-being in the midst of those strong food cravings or what we perceive may be a difficulty in life? And we've spent many years serving people with this concept and refining it ourselves and learning from each and every one how to be more helpful. And what it comes down to is one simple word. If we want to get out of anxiousness or difficulty or a craving, and we know we're not hungry at all, or we know that substance is only trying to make us feel better, make us calm down, it's called pause. That pausing really makes a big difference in terms of how we live our lives, at what level we meet life and any other craving that we might have around food. So pausing, what does that mean really?
Yeah, it's like easy to kind of understand the concept, but when we're in the throes of this strong, compelling feeling,
Yeah.
how do you hit the pause button? And we had this conversation with some of our graduates the other day, and it was wonderful to hear how they translate this idea of pause in their lives that has been really effective.
Yeah, well, I'll start off what I do. So pause to me means just simply sitting. I like to sit for a moment. This is really quick. And I relax my shoulders, and let my busy mind settle down. That's what pause is for me. And then if it's about a food craving, I will often just ask, do I need this food right now? And my body responds very quickly, yes or no. And usually, as I've said before, it says, have a glass of water, you're fine. And when I do that, when I pause and settle, that drive that seems so compelling completely dissipates. It's amazing. So that's my approach.
Yeah, and for me, I don't need to sit to pause. Wherever I am, I can be walking through the kitchen or something, with this feeling like that wasn't enough for dinner. In my mind's going, what little thing, what little thing, what little thing, and there is that pause. But I don't need to like stop my motion. It's become more of a simple shift of attention, you might say.
Mm.
I recognize that I'm not really hungry. This is an old habit. It's like, I like to eat. Let me just keep eating. But my body's going, we've had enough, right? We've had enough. You'll get to eat again. and and so there is that some little trigger that encourages me to pause. I know there's a little something off in this urge, the urgency of the urge, the fact that my belly feels full and I'm thinking about putting something in, my body's kind of saying, you might want to reconsider. So, I mean, this is all very subtle, but if I reflect on it, that's kind of what's happening. So I'm coming away from the dinner table and it's like, what's that little thing? Oh, yeah, I probably don't need anything. And that brings me, in that pause, I kind of get more centered in my body. And I see clearly, this body isn't hungry. It does not need another bite.
Yeah, and I think what you say there is really good, Bill. When there's urgency in wanting to reach, or I've got to get rid of this anxiety right now, it'll never go away. How am I going to get that kind of stuff? That's the little Dharma bell that's saying, stop, pause, and then see what's there and what choice you want to make.
Yeah, so we brought that up to our group, our community call, and it was wonderful to hear how varied people had developed this pause situation, but it was all the same thing. It all resulted in the same thing. It's like a pause. It's like one person, it was so beautiful. She said, it's like, oh, it's like I have an eraser and I just erase all these thoughts off the whiteboard.
That is beautiful. I
That's
love
good.
that.
Yeah, I love that too. And we've had a client for some time who has this method that she does in her mind where if she sees she's got this tense thinking going on, what am I going to eat or what am I going to do about this situation? And she realizes again that there's some tension there. There's something off balance and it's not where we want to be. And rather than continuing that loop of just thinking harder and harder, how am I going to work this out? How am I going to work this out? What am I going to get to eat? Instead of continuing the loop of thinking, what she does is she says, I take these thoughts and I put them like in a balloon, like a helium balloon. And then I just see myself letting them go and they float off. So there's lots of ways that we can reach this point of pause. It isn't like just, oh, tell myself to pause and the pause button goes on. But play with it and see what works for you because there's so many ways to do it.
And the important thing is, notice when you do it, you allow everything to settle. For me, it's like putting down the snow globe that I've shaken so vigorously. Notice if, when you're relaxed in a moment, if you don't make a different choice.
Oh, yeah.
Notice the clarity that is present when we take that pause, because that allows us to move through our lives in an entirely different way, in a way that really supports and nourishes who we are.
Yeah, we've probably all seen situations where like two people are confronted with the same challenge and one person stays really calm and grounded and they just go on about dealing with it and the other person just gets very reactive and very stressed and overwhelmed and they don't deal with it as well. It's like such a clear demonstration from life in a way, just the experience of life that circumstances are neutral. What I've had to eat, is it enough? Is it not enough? What drives the decision after that isn't whether I've had enough to eat or not. That's neutral. It's how I deal with it. It's how I interpret what's going on, whether I kind of come back to balance or whether I react and engage from there.
Yeah, I think the main thing that we begin to see, certainly I have, in this pause is the story that Bill's pointing to, the story that I'm telling myself that creates the drive, the need, the craving, the, oh, how will I ever solve this feeling? So give it a try. See for yourself. Don't believe us. See for yourself what a pause can do in life to bring you to that relaxed, settled place that allows very great intelligence to flavor your actions.
Yeah. So next week, we'll talk more about this idea that circumstances are neutral because this is the basis of why the pause works. In the pause, we get out of that reactive thinking to be able to see the reality of what is. And the reality of what is that circumstances are neutral. When we see that, it's kind of obvious. It's not anything we need to react to, but we'll go into that more next week.
So the recipe is really good and one we have never made.
Before.
Yeah.
We have now.
Oh, yes, we made it. I saw someone on YouTube talk about Louisiana cooking, Cajun cooking, and that red beans were a big part of that. So we wanted to make a Louisiana red bean dish and served it over brown rice. So good.
Yeah,
really tasty and a very different flavor than what we normally have. So it gives you that great variety that we're always enjoying in this whole food, plant-based world. We enjoy so much.
No limitation to good food.
That's for sure.
Okay.
Much love.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.